I wanted to learn more and more about the startup and the venture world, and get closer to founders and see if I could help them in some way, especially with the market as it is, which
Mm-hmm.
being curious about people and how they think and how they see the world and how they make decisions. And when you combine that curiosity with trying to design products or experiences or businesses that
Mm-hmm.
can deliver value to them, I think it's a that's what gives me excitement. That's what service design is, you know, stepping away a bit more from the digital, from the physical design side of things,
Mm.
and really spending time with people a bit more out in the world in physical places. Actually designing real world interactions as well as digital interactions, and disciplines of design, from the strategic to the product and everything in between, have become, or do have, a lot of established processes, but they risk becoming too process driven for sure.
Hi everyone, I'm Camilo Torres, and welcome again to Flowcast. In here, we're going to have amazing conversation with the beautiful people that has joined our community. We're going to get a lot of inspiration for the life journeys, passions, creations, because we believe that when you share your unique story, you can inspire others. So please enjoy this new Flowcast. And also, I would love to invite you to join our community. And if you would like to share your story, please go to our website, flowwithcommunity.com, for more information. Thank you. So please welcome James Bailey. Hi, James.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being part of the community. And it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, it's great being here. Been looking
Yeah,
forward to this for a little
and
while.
it's great how we connected because it's through Flow by another professional level. And I'm very grateful for all the great help that you have done for Flow,
uh,
and it's been amazing. And anyway, with that, I would love to know a little bit more of your journey, because anyway, you has helped me and Flow. I would like to know about your personal journey, what takes you to do what you do, and explain a little bit what you do.
yeah, I was thinking about like how far back to go, um, and thought maybe just go quite far back, like back to sort of teenage years, if that's of
Let's
interest.
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I was thinking about how well, I was thinking about my career like the last 15 years or so, but then I was thinking about um, the kind of the formative teenage years, and how I was of that generation born analog, like before
Mm,
the internet kind of became what it is. And when I was doing my school and then going into university, I was drawn to design, and I didn't know exactly why necessarily. I was sort of exploring it, and um, it was more and more about understanding people and understanding people's motivations, their goals, their needs, what gets in the way of that, how you can find solutions to problems and deliver value into people's lives. Like those sort of themes resonated a lot when I was going through the design journey. And then it just so happened to coincide, I guess, also with the rise of the internet, and
mm,
around 2000, 2001, 2002, um, it's still super early days of the internet. The dot-com bubble had burst, and then it was trying to figure out where it was going from there. But there was a sense of like really exciting possibilities. Like, where's this technology going to take us? It's a new frontier. What does design mean
mhm,
here? Like YouTube got invented, Google got invented, Facebook got invented, uh, Spotify streaming all got invented, and it was super exciting. And uh, I was thinking back to that journey. I think I liked so much about that journey was trying to figure it out, like trying to figure out how you can use this new technology, this new medium, to solve people's problems, and put value into people's lives in some way. And that's what drew me to design, kind of professionally. Um, and then I set this high level goal for the career, where I want to build up I want to gain depth of design experience. I want to build up a few key pillars of design sort of skill set. And then over that time, and near the end of that time, I want to build up more and more of a commercial understanding. I want to understand how businesses think and how they operate. And the motivation behind all of that was, wanting to put more value into people's lives, but put more value back into businesses at the same time. That sort of reciprocal relationship, like help businesses grow through design. Um, and that's been the last sort of 15-year journey. And it's evolved over that time as the industry's evolved. 15 years ago, UX design and UI design was in its very sort of early stages. iPhone came out. Designers were figuring out what digital interaction design looks like, what design patterns look like, all that stuff. And then service design became more of a thing. Like designers were getting to work more holistically across services and products and businesses. And then strategic design became a thing. So designers were getting closer and closer to tops of businesses and dealing with more complex problems, more commercial problems. And so basically, I got to work with some fantastic agencies over that time that built up a product design pillar, service design pillar, a strategic design pillar, and underneath all of that was research, because research feeds those pillars in different ways. I'm a big fan of how research can feed those pillars. And then the last permanent role I had, I started off in wearing more of a practitioner hat. So I was leading teams, leading projects, leading the research domain, tackling some great business challenges there. And then during that time, I got more and more involved in the sales side of things, playing my part to help grow the studio. There was some, I got to understand more and more about how businesses think and what they need, what they buy, how design can fit into that. And it was about this time last year, I started getting, I've said this to other people as well, but I started getting the Google timeline photos of, this time 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and seeing some of the work that I was closer to back at that time. It's like, I kind of miss being closer to the designing work and the teams doing the work, and sort of made the decision to do a few things. One, my daughter was born, and everyone said, soak up that time. It goes past in a heartbeat, and you never get that time back. So, embrace that. So I did. Secondly, I wanted to learn more and more about the startup and the venture world, and get closer to founders and see if I could help them, in some way, especially with the market as it is, which maybe we'll talk about. And then, three, because I wanted to get back to doing more interesting work, is are there any good contracts or freelance opportunities that I can work with agencies or independents or direct with clients on? And then four, if the right permanent opportunity comes along, then awesome, I'll jump into that. But yeah, kind of like long story short, it started from these super early days of, I don't really know what design is. It's about people and problem solving. I think I like that, through to this whole industry is this frontier of design needs figuring out. I want to be part of that, through to I guess building a lot of different skill sets within the design and commercial sort of bucket, through to now of like, I kind of want to get back to doing a bit more, and the creativity of design a bit more.
It's very interesting that, because you're talking about design. I'm an architect, and when as someone creative or in the creative industry, you talk about design. It's like, for me, my perspective is like design a house, for example, or a project. But then you describe it very nicely, that a design it's a connection between people and solving a problem, which also is creativity, and it's very interesting. Like, this concept, for me, of course, I knew it, but in a way that I just got into my bubble of architecture, and now because of flow and everything, it's grow, and it's amazing. What are you
doing? It makes sense. And I guess in like sort of simplistic terms, design is partly about problem solving, but it's about creating stuff and
Mm-hmm.
putting that into people's lives for them to experience,
Mm-hmm.
and that it gives value to them in some way. Um, uh, and maybe it's something that we'll explore, but I think designers can add a lot of value in different ways, from the more strategic level to the just purely tactical level. But at its heart, it's about creating stuff
Mm-hmm.
and delivering value into people's lives. And the more you move away from that, I think is a shame. Like the closer you are to producing stuff and exploring stuff and getting stimulation from stuff, the more fun you're having as a designer, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what makes you, because you said like you wanted to understand people
Mm.
in your early stage, and what makes you think that way? If there is anything particular that you want to share.
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably so it's probably part of my DNA that I've inherited from like my mum and my dad, and also the people around you. But my mum is a counselor therapist, and so she understands people deeply, and
Mm.
their point of view, their worldview, and how you can help them on their journey in healing, etc. My dad was a qualitative market researcher, so he wanted to understand people in order to, of course, communicate to them in a certain way, attract them to products and services, keep them engaged with products and services, in flippant terms, in crude terms. But I think like maybe those facets of DNA, just I've inherited that in my own mix of um, being curious about people and how they think and how they see the world and how they make decisions. And when you combine that curiosity with trying to design products or experiences or businesses that
Mm-hmm.
can deliver value to them, I think it's uh, that's what gives me excitement. That's what gives me sort of a creative buzz. Yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
yes. I think it's, I mean, same with me. Understanding people is very important for everyday life, I think, and you learn and starting learning from them, I guess,
yeah,
because it reaches you as well, your knowledge, and I think we always keep learning in life, right?
yeah. Absolutely. It's so that was kind of my journey to last year, the last yeah, around that sort of time, and then um, the whole design industry is just going through a very weird time. I think at the moment, uh, I think that was one of the things that you're interested in, kind of exploring what's kind of going on in the market at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so about a year and a half ago, let's say roughly around that time, started noticing that a lot of businesses were focusing on their bottom line, focusing on profitability, focusing on
Right. Yeah.
efficiencies, and the result of that, the impact of that means that they were letting lots of people go, and trying to sort of tighten their spending. They were focusing on like improving what they've currently got rather than necessarily focusing on innovation or
Mm-hmm.
ways of opening new revenue streams. For example, it was kind of quite a sort of protection sort of mindset. Um, and one of the unfortunate side effects of that is that the market got flooded with designers, of course,
Mm.
looking for work. But the type of work that was being bought has evolved as well. It's become very product centric, very delivery focused. If design's not in service of um, you know building a product, getting a product out in the market, tweaking that product, then it's not as valuable. And part of me like that's absolutely fine, because you're saying earlier, at its heart, design is about creating something. And if you're not creating, it's
Mm-hmm.
just theoretical. Like you've got to produce something at the end of the day. But what it has meant is that designers that are really good in, say, like the UX UI side of things, good at creating screens and all of that stuff, they've been more in demand, and there's work for them. although there's tons of people looking for the same job, so
Mm-hmm.
super competitive. But the other facets of design, the more like holistic service design, the more strategic design side of things, there just hasn't been jobs really.
And I feel like it's
Yeah,
a holistic, like what you said, needs to be all connected because if you start in doing one single part,
yeah,
then the system is like a system, right? And if something is not thought in here, well, the system won't work.
yeah, exactly. And I've spoken to hundreds of people this year, like hundreds, from
Mm-hmm.
founders to VCs to agencies to corporates to independents to fractional experts, like hundreds of people, and there's no clear picture on where design's going to evolve from here. Like short term, people need, as I was saying, really good products and etc. And the focus is there. But long term, I don't really know where design is going to have its sweet spot. And kind of linked into that, I've worked with agencies and consultancies for the last 15 years, and agencies, by definition, provide services and value to companies that they might not necessarily have in house or need some extra help, to do. And in the early days, like 15 years ago, that was more, um, UX UI design. But then they started getting that skill set more in house. So then it became more around sort of service design and then sort of more strategic design and more business design, more consultative sort of stuff. But then all of that skill set's been kind of bought in house more and more. Um, and in the mix of it, certainly in the UK, the overheads of agencies have gone up. So the salaries of talent's gone up, the running of the business has gone up, so the rate cards have gone up. But then you've got this market that's not looking to spend as much as it used to, and uh, you know all these different factors are kind of playing into mix of what does an agency offer sort of now, and that I don't think is sort of fully clear to a lot of people that I've been speaking to. I, there's a sense that um, I think sort of two things. One thing, the role of the service designer might actually become even more important, not just in terms of thinking holistically across what the business is doing and sort of stitching it together and helping facilitate all the parts of the business to do what they need to do. Um, but there might be something in service designers, you know, stepping away a bit more from the digital, from the physical design side of things,
Mm.
and really spending time with people a bit more out in the world in physical places. Actually designing real world interactions as well as digital interactions, and
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, again, I don't know how that's going to play out because it requires companies to say, yeah, that's of value to us. We want to buy that sort of service.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I don't know. This is from my perspective, and I guess you have more experience. But I feel like we went into a very digital era, but it's going to be like we are human beings, and our species are a social species, and we are into community, physical communities, and there's going to be a point that we're going to have enough. Like COVID,
yeah,
we thought that we could do all remote and everything, and slowly we just want to go back to
yeah,
have our work. But yeah.
yeah, and then the other side of that, I think, is and we've kind of been reflecting on this, is it's like real creativity, real creative expression, real play, having the space, the time to explore stuff. Like design's become very serious and business orientated,
Mm.
and very got jobs to be done and return on investment, and that's not wrong, but at the same time, there's a side of design that is letting the mind wander and explore and trying things out. I've got an idea. Let's make it and test it
Mm.
and see. And um, I wonder if that side of design is going to come back a bit sort of stronger, not just attached to digital design.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Again, it might be like physical or experience sort of based design. I don't know, but that that companies will value more designers and people who are just really free thinking and really pushing the envelope. And um, uh, there are people doing that. Don't get me wrong, of course there are, but at least in the industry I've been in, as part of, there seems to be less and less time or focus put on people really um, being creative and exploring. So maybe that'll come back
And
as
very
well.
important to be that way and flow with creativity and explore that in all levels. Yeah.
Yeah, um, and it's fun. Like I said, I've spoken to a lot of people kind of about this, and um, I'm curious to see where it's going to go for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and will agencies in the UK at least, not die out, but sort of become less and less relevant in some ways. I don't know. Will it become more of a network of creative people that can pool their skill sets together in different combinations and offer that to companies? Maybe. Uh, yeah, it's what's the next frontier? I suppose is the question. What's the next frontier for design? And I don't know what that is, but that's I think the thing that's my next journey. Is I'd love to get involved in figuring out the next frontier of something through a design-led approach. And playing, my
and life is for that.
With my daughter, she's got the old coloring books and crayons, and I've spent more time than her kind of coloring in, just sitting there picking up the crayons, and you think, I haven't done this for years. Like, when did I stop just coloring in and having little mindful moments of just enjoying that? That's been kind of fun. How do we let that side of people's creativity sort of flow more in a professional setting? Will be something.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before coming here to share your story that it's so important to play with your inner child and let that creativity flow. Also, I was talking with someone else before meeting you that sometimes we're so rigid in the way we create, like in the processes, that sometimes we don't let that creativity to flow because we need to follow the rule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we cannot do the 5 before the 1.
Yeah.
And that process can be broken. And like, let's play as a kid. Like when we were kids, we didn't have any rules, and we created magical things.
It's so true, and that's partly a symptom, I think, of the last 15, 20 years, because when I was saying about the frontier side of things, like literally working out, well, how do you design a web page? What does an app look like? What does a page look like? What does a journey look like? You're figuring all that out, and now it's by and large established. Like you said, it's more process driven, and all of the different disciplines of design, from the strategic to the product and everything in between, have become, or do have, a lot of established processes, but they risk becoming too process driven for sure. And the bit you're talking about COVID, and the world before that, of course, you're in the office, in the studio 5 days a week. There are various teams, various rooms, and there's stuff happening all the time. And I used to make a point almost daily of going around those different rooms, looking at what's on the walls, talking to people, and you hear about what are you working on, how are you tackling that, and wow, I didn't think about approaching it in that way, and being inspired by the work that they're doing, and that was a huge part of the agency and studio life before COVID happened, and before the remote kind of world took on. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I don't know what it's like across the different businesses, but hopefully, certainly the new generation that's coming up, hopefully they're getting those kind of experiences, that they're learning through osmosis, that they're
personally and with flow, and I think you have seen a little bit of the journey of flow. I am with flow. It's been evolving in that way. No, like some people like you have to do this thing before. It's like no, like when you have an idea, put it out there, no rules. Then you come back and build the first rule. Like
Yeah,
and you enjoy it while you're producing your product. And then of course there is people like you that has helped me to, okay, let's check it out, or let's do this and think about this, which is completely helpful. But before that, enjoy the process, enjoy the creativity, enjoy the creation.
yeah, and it's a tough time for startups as well, of course,
Mm,
because less funding going around or being freely sort of given. Super lean teams, having to demonstrate traction, early and quickly,
mm,
which means that design has become more and more sort of cookie cutter or sort of bootstrapped. Like we just
mm,
need to produce something that's good enough to get going, and part of that is that's fine. Uh, unless people, unless you're attracting people to your business, unless they're paying you money, then you don't have a business to sort of live on. But
mm,
the other side of that is that it's created this very product centric design focus, very commoditized design sort of focus. It's very short termism. Design's being led a lot by commercial teams, and
mm,
their need to bring a certain amount of revenue through the door for the business to increase its runway, etc. It's a really complex mix, um, and um, but again, with that dynamic of that is assuming there will continue to be lots of startups in the next 5-10 years. How do we protect and nurture all the different parts that design as disciplines can offer, and
mm,
sort of build those into the companies?
mm.
It's a challenge for the founders to sort of balance all of that. Um, yeah, the
Nice.
there's something else I was thinking about. So coming out of the 90s as well, and the 2000s, there was uh, that was the kind of the rave sort of the scene and generation there, and all the dance music exploding, all the nightclubs, um, and I got into DJing and mixing
Ah,
at
cool.
that time, and
Okay.
it was funny. I mean, this is like school days. I had a Super Nintendo. A friend had a pair of decks. We did a swap for a few weeks. I taught myself how to mix, and then sort of didn't turn back from there. And I used to run some of my own little club nights and like Halloween parties, and there was a lot of fun in organising those and getting your friends and their friends together and having these great nights. But the mixing side of things for me was a different creative outlet that
Mm,
uh, you've got 5 tunes, 10 tunes, 15 tunes, records at that time. But what combination do you put them in? What flow do you go through in the set? You're reading the room and the vibe of the audience and
mm-hmm.
stuff. It was a totally different creative outlet that I loved, and still love
And I feel
today.
like the way you described the DJing, and it could be for a business in certain stage, right? And then after you need to, of course, structure that
Oh, say more.
design and
Yeah,
creativity. You know what I mean? Like you
say
could
more. Yeah,
enjoy it. You could enjoy create your business as much as you can do music.
yeah. Say a bit more about that. How do you mean?
Like so because your creativity was flowing with the DJing and everything. Well, why a business cannot be flowing in the same way?
Okay, yeah, just
And then structure business and get the design product and everything. Well, but I feel like because with flow it's been like that, I've been enjoying so much that of course there's a point that I need to structure and making it right for the market.
yeah,
But it's, I think, well, from my experience, it's good to enjoy whatever you do in life and to whatever you create in life.
Yeah, well, but that what you said there, resonates because um, you've got the financial reality puts constraints on
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
that ability to um, go with the flow of this business,
Mm,
forming this entity that's forming, and having the time to see what it is
mm,
that people are attracted to and exploring that and working on that. You have to work fast and have the answer now
mm-hmm.
and return an investment tomorrow,
Yeah.
etc. The kind of again, like I don't know how that might work in practice, but that desire for people to have a bit more space to be
Mm-hmm.
creative and come up with ideas and kick them around and explore things. Where's that happening? I want to
Yeah.
be part of that. That's the other bit I'm curious about because it feels like the last five in the last 10 years certainly there's been um, uh, a couple of things here. So there seems to be more acceptance, more opportunities for people to try starting their
Mm-hmm.
own digital businesses certainly and kind of giving that a go. But they're also, and I'm making an assumption here, but I get the sense that the younger generation sort of coming up, their mindset is more attuned to starting a business, starting something, giving it a
Mm-hmm.
go. Uh, maybe I'm right and wrong in this, and maybe it's just my sort of perception. But it feels like with the creator economy and people being able to create more and more of their own content and monetize it, and
Mm,
there's a different sort of mindset shift of exploring your uh, creative entrepreneurial self and kind of
mm-hmm.
just giving it a go because it's um, more attainable in some ways because of the funding or the technology tools around that's doing it, which is really cool. But where's that going to go? Because what do they say? 90% of startups fail, or whatever the number is. It's
Yeah.
they're not all going to turn into businesses that last. And um, yeah, it's one of those things. I'll be interested to see how it plays out over time. Um, is it just the beginning of a wonderful 10, 15, 20 years of amazing business creativity and content creativity that's going to carry on, or is it going to kind of hit a brick wall somewhere along the way
Mm.
and can't sort of go further? I don't have an answer. It's just one of those curiosities
Let's
that
see
I
what
that I have
future
as well.
brings. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
again, these don't go anywhere necessarily. They're just like musings, which are kind of ticking through my brain. But having been born analog, being born
Mm-hmm.
before the digital age, and remembering what aspects of life were like when you weren't connected to people all the time, and um, you phone someone on a landline and say I'll meet you somewhere, and you hope you
And you
do
start
get
looking for people in a
yeah
restaurant rather than texting straight away.
yeah yeah, and just sitting in a restaurant, and just watching people and having a chat with the person next to you, and
Yeah.
um, the, there's a different sort of quality to your life. I'm not saying it's better or whatnot, but it's a
Mm.
different quality. And so I'm really curious to see how the born digital generation, um, where where they go in the next sort of 10, 15 years. Is that will it continue to become more and more digitally enabled living, or is it going to become more unplugged and um, uh, and again, I don't have the answer. It's just a curiosity. Um, and of course, I'm curious about it because there might be value that a designer can bring into that. But that's one of those things kind of going through my brain as well. Certainly on the back of all the pandemic and the
Mm.
remote working and the stuff we were talking about.
Mm.
It's so important to have those
Mm-hmm.
face to face connections with people.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Great. Thank you so
yeah.
much, James. Wow, this is amazing. And I love everything you shared. And last thing, where people can find your services and where people can reach for your help because you have a lot of knowledge, and I can say that you have helped me a lot.
Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the main place, the first place. James Bailey. I've got my own sort of portfolio website, and I share some of my musings and thoughts on the blog there. That's 1210s.com, which is in reference to Technics 1210 record decks, the mixing.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of means something to me there. I could probably spin some story about how DJing's like a creative endeavor, and anyway, it's 1210s.com.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, reach me that way.
We could do another flowcast about that as
Yeah,
well. That would be very interesting.
yeah.
Okay. And to finish your first flowcast, because I think we're going to have another one, I have three questions for you. So these questions you can answer with one word or one or a quick sentence. The first one is, what is creativity for you?
Problem solving, collaboration with different perspectives, and unexpected surprises.
Nice.
There we go.
Really cool. I like that. Okay. Second question. Why is your current creative expression?
Apart from colouring in my daughter's colouring book, still mixing.
Nice.
And if it counts as creativity, speaking to lots of different people and hearing what they're up to and learning from that, gaining inspiration from that. Oh, and one more.
Yeah.
Looking at lots and lots and lots of award websites around the world and all different parts of design, and just seeing what people are creating out there and gaining inspiration from that. There's a Japanese awards website that I found, and every year they've got a beautiful theme, and just looking through the winners of there has been so inspiring.
Wow.
It takes you back again to these people have just taken a theme, they've played, they've created something. It doesn't necessarily, or doesn't have to have a business ROI attached to it, but there's clearly beautiful value in what they've created and appreciation of it. So yeah, lots and lots of award websites from around the world is good.
Nice. Wow, interesting. I will take that in my inspiration list.
Yeah.
And the last one is, what the word flow means for you.
Yeah, that's I think there's it's like effortless creativity, and the effortless creativity and kind of going with the unexpected, and embracing serendipity. So you kind of, yeah, you're creating, it's happening, but you're able to go with the unexpected and embrace serendipity, and you get better outcomes as a result of it, or something like that.
Perfect. Yeah, like it. Wow, thank you so much, James. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Yeah, it's been great chatting.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Bye.